Pants were made specially for tonight. And the maker helped me find texture. Her name is Dolores, and she never made pants before and helped me find the texture of this piece I'm about to do because I got to go into her sewing room and I got to see everything she does and smell the fabric, and it was just a defining moment, and I want to acknowledge that. So in this piece, where I am Miss Celie's pants, I am also referencing, and if you have never read Anything We Love Can Be Saved by Alice Walker, I will be referencing interstitials between sections from this book, from an essay. It's from Alice Walker's April 1995 Auburn Theological Seminary presentation. The only reason you want to go to heaven is that you have been driven out of your mind and off your land and out of your lover's arms. Wow. And so what I'm going to do, because it is very difficult when you're not reading it on the page, is I will hold the book up when I'm actually doing a piece from the essay. My journey with Miss Celie began when she, a questioning spirit, wearing delicate Easter gloves over hands soaked in rose milk, touched me. She picked me, a calico scrap, wrapped in twine from a tin remnant bin, a half yard of yearning to be more than a rag. I call Miss Celie a goddess because she chose me first over silks and taffetas, even over gingham and chintz, hanging in large rolls high up on the mercantile wall. She chose me, a blooming field and shades of sunrises and coneflowers and dandelions, a simple fabric meant for a laboring woman's dress. My name scribbled on a paper slip, yellow calico. She held me up against the velvets and chose a plum so ripe when the shop owner's long-handled shears made the first slice, velvet bled out onto the cutting table. Miss Celie took us home in a brown parcel. Velvet wouldn't speak when I babbled on about how much I'd been admiring them. It's like that, I said. One always starts out wanting the other more. But one day, you'll see, you're going to love me. She made it, and she made it however it is, so that you will be more comfortable as part of her creation rather than less. It was velvet and satin that drew eyes to us, but it was me, a field of flowers, a basic unbleached cotton, sown and reaped in Mississippi, bowls picked by callous fingers, loomed and drawn into dyes that kept them wanting us. Satin never really gave much notice. They spent most of their time skipping in step with the wearer, admiring themselves in a mirror, but velvet was most resentful to have been sewn into my being, as if I was stealing some of their shine when all I really wanted was to curl up against their nap, to feel the way their thickness rubbed down, to draw in the light, to play in their shadows. What a burden to think one is conceived in sin rather than in pleasure, that one is born into evil rather than into joy. We've been around the world, worn by fine asses, best trained dancers' legs, shown off on stages with fancy audiences, as well as admired by brown liquor drinking, hooting and hollering neighborhood fans. I love the ones wearing us, and I love being admired. I love the ones who put one leg in at a time or both in at the same time, pulling upwards with a tug, a wiggle, or easing a slow, holding an exhale over luscious round hips until we reach the bend in their waist. Sweat trickles down the curve in their backs, and we sop it up like the last licks of molasses on a china plate. I whisper in their dreams, we are the lost ones, the lovers and family who found our way back to hold you close. This was long ago when I was first made up, stitched by hand a gold thread embroidered inside the front. You is wonderful to behold, Shug. And another inside the back. Every stitch I sew is a kiss, Miss Celie. I've heard this is how we come to hold magic. Two goddesses who loved the pain and brokenness out of each other, found what they've been looking for in love, in sisterhood. They found the God struggling in each of them. Everyone deserves a God who adores our freedom. Nature would never advise us to do anything but be ourselves. But life has a way of changing course, even for Miss Celie's pants. It was when satin is ripped off with a sharp knife by a cigar-shaped man who wanted to wear us in private. The wife found us stuffed in a shoebox along with her lipstick and dumped us in an alley. I fussed about the woman's hate. Velvet spat, "You talk too much." Velvet says this while a red fox with 7 tails shakes us out, makes us into a pallet, then naps in the alley. The fox is not a fox, I say, feeling her heartbeats against us. I am a kitsune, growls the preening fox. And by morning, she is a long-legged woman wearing us. Satin has extended their hemline to cover her feet, and she floats out of the alley and into the city. What is happening in the world, more and more, is that people are attempting to decolonize their spirits. Maybe it was because I could hold things like lavender seeds, acorns, a peppermint for a dry throat, or comfort a trembling hand. Maybe because instead of replacing or removing me, the wearers had darned holes, French knotted flowers onto my border. And the Chata woman beaded a Yanish head to the center of my left pocket. Whatever the reason, I am led by ancestors, maybe even by Miss Celie herself, to those needing something only they can find in their spirit. Velvet's silk nap is thick, with a pile as lush as a fat baby's belly, and openly admired even when the plum turns to violet to almost blue. Me, I am raw, roughly hewn, so all I've done is fade like an old Polaroid. Velvet now loves kitsune and doesn't notice me. Satin grows back, stroking kitsune's ankles when she's human and her hind legs when she's a fox. Satin giggles, saying the fox hair tickles, and Velvet goes stiff. It's hard to love on Velvet, knowing love is one way, especially when I'm carrying things, heartbreak, brokenness, struggle, for all who put hands in me. Now I'm carrying kitsune's snack, an eyeball, plucked from a bearded man who stared too hard and huffed like he was going to steal a piece of her. We are born knowing how to worship, just as we are born knowing how to laugh. I wonder if Miss Celie knew when she laid us out on the dining room table, basted our pieces together, that first time to see if we fit. She must have seen something, because no matter what happened in Miss Celie's life, she would not bring pain to others, would not want them to suffer. She'd want them to love. All people deserve to worship a God who also worships them, a God that made them and likes them. That is why nature, Mother Earth, is a good choice. Satin says to me, I've always been here, looking up at you, waiting for you. Just because I'm not rubbing up on you every day doesn't mean I don't feel you. I tell Satin they're absorbed in their own pleasure. Satin laughs, I got enough pleasure making for me and for you. And love, they say, I got powerful love. Satin tells me I've been so busy looking for admiration in the wrong one. Truth. It hits me hard until I recall, as if it was just this morning, Miss Celie basting us into one, humming a prayer over us with each measured stitch. If I were butter right now, I'd surely melt in satin shine. My pockets bloom bright in yellow and in purple. Miss Celie has sent summer lilacs and violets to join the flitting goldfinch, poppies, and field daisies. In day-to-day life, I worship the earth as God, representing everything, and nature as spirit. Kitsune's claw swipes a man's ear, separating cartilage from head in a single stroke. She slowly chews it, saying, "He should have listened when I said no touching." Satin clings to velvet. I cling to velvet. Velvet clings to us. We cling to Kitsune. Not since Miss Celie have we felt a warrior covered in a veil of goddess protection. Kitsune smooths her whiskers, flexes her tails, until they spread under velvet. Snowy tips peeking out at the waist, looks at us in a shop window reflection, pats, my new garden. I say aloud, just enough so that heaven can hear, "You is wonderful to behold."